I'm Valerie with Valerie's Variety Vlog, and today we're going to be cutting up a pork roast. We're going to make, you know what? I originally learned to make 3 meals with this out of this book, but I actually do a little bit more. But we'll get into that in a minute. We'll make several different meals from this pork roast. This is about an 8-pound pork roast. So since there's only 4 of us, I'm kind of focusing on around 6 to 8 meals on this. So one of the things that I can use, and I've explained this before, I will have below I will have a link to these. These are create your own casserole, easy stir fry. It's basically a create your own stir fry, and the create your own skillet recipes. And they just take pretty much whatever you have, and you can make a meal from it. We're going to be doing, I'm going to cut like little steaks, little butterfly steaks. We're going to do cubes. We're going to do strips for stir fry, and then we're going to take the bone. We're going to use the bone for soup. I think that's pretty much it. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but if we do, we'll get to that. So one of the things I want to show you, if you see, I got a little spill here from the pork, and you always want to use a disinfectant on that. What I did was I just use these, little cheap diaper wipes. You can get a package of this for $1 at the dollar store, and I just put like just a pine sol, lemon, or this one's Fabuloso. Now I don't like the purple one; it's just too much. This one's green apple. I love green apple. So I poured some of that in here. You can use, but it's concentrated. So you just pour it right on top of the diaper wipes, close it up, and you've got some really inexpensive wipes. And I like them because you can just, wipe down whatever you need to and throw it out. And you have it nice and clean and disinfected. All right, so I'm going to wash my hands. Always wash your hands. Let's get started. Basically, you start by poking around at this thing, trying to find out where your bone is. And also, if you notice on the back here, you have this big fatty strip. This is great for putting in your beans. And a lot of people don't like beans, but if you have beans, beans are amazing for you. Okay, there we go. This one is serrated. This one is not. It's just a good. What kind of knife is this for? It's like filleting knife. So let me turn this around so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of cutting. Just cutting right where the fat and the meat. So we're just gonna cut away at that. And there's no, if you get a little meat in there, it's not a big deal. If you get a little fat, it's not a big deal. You just do with it. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's what we're doing. My husband would have a fit if he saw me cutting towards myself. Let's turn this thing. Sometimes we don't appreciate how our husbands have such a protective instinct. We're like, I am 44 years old. Do not tell me how to cut stuff. But it's actually a very good thing. Husbands are good things. All right, got the bone right here, and here and here. Got the camera out. So basically, all this stuff here is where we don't have the bone, and you can feel. You just kind of almost can just tear it. It's easier to part it out by just going with where it's separated by itself. I will take this piece and I will cut it into chunks because it's already awkward. This one here, I will cut into steaks and in strips. I might cut this one into strips, but the bone I'm going to take out and use for soup. And that's one thing they don't have in that book. So let's see. What should we do first? I got this one here. We'll just do this one first. All right, let's go ahead and put this little guy right there. That there. Stay. Good boy. This is the thicker end. We're going to want to make the butterfly steaks out of this end. In a second, I got to get this piece of bone out. Sasha. Oh, you are so good. Okay. That's it. All right. So, got this piece here. So we're gonna go ahead and start. I'm cutting about that thick, because maybe a little thicker. All right. So here we got this. There we go. See that? Now we're gonna cut it. It's a little hard with this. Here, let's just use the board, since we're not cutting into it. All right. Okay. All right, there's our one butterfly steak. That'll be a nice little pork steak there. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take this, we're gonna cut 3 more of those, we're gonna do 4 of them, but we'll do that later. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and take this piece over here now. And we gotta get it off the bone. Okay, so this bone's gonna go in our soup. We got a red one here. Put this bone in here. Maybe. Grab another one for our fat. All right. Let me get this open. Matter of fact, we're gonna freeze it. So let's just go ahead and chop this up real quick, because it's, once you take it out to freeze it, and it's a giant chunk like this, it's, you know, you want to drop it in your crock pot, it's not gonna work quite the same. All right, here we go. Bag there. That there, we'll zip those clothes up. We wash our hands. I wash my hands. Now I've got all this meat. Some of this we're gonna chop up. So these nice cuts like this, these are really good for these strips. And then the kind of choppy looking ones, these are better for the chunks. Let's just do the strips first. No, let's just do the chunks because they're already here. All right. Let's see. Use scissors. Okay. You just kind of do it in strips, like you're going to be doing these ones here. Just kind of cut at it. Kind of cut it as a strip, and then you can just kind of cut at it. This is one that I've started doing recently, just because it's hard to hold them. So I'll put it in between my fingers, and then just like this in between my fingers, and that way it holds it. The reason I'm doing this is because I got this meat for, let's say it's $1.19 a pound, and it's like an add 10%. So, say that's another 11 cents. And what you pay for chopped up meat like this is actually, you know, probably $2.50 a pound. I don't really know because I don't buy it. And, you know, because I have seen, you know, when you go to the store and you do the sticker shock, with my pork, I try not to pay more than $1.50 a pound for pork. I don't buy pork all that often just because I'm not real comfortable with the health issues with it. But when it's a really good deal, and it's up around $1 a pound, I buy it. Or when someone gives it to me, I take it and I thank the Lord. But one of the things about being thrifty is you become creative. You know, you get to experience things that you hadn't before. You get to, you know, really use your brain. And it's actually a very, very exciting thing. I'd heard a story one time of a man who made a living by flattering the king. And his friend lived on a diet of lentils. Well, he went to visit his friend one day and he asked him, he said, why do you sit there and eat lentils all the time? He said, you know, if you learned to flatter the king, you wouldn't have to eat lentils. And his friend looked at him and says, you know, if you learned to like lentils, you wouldn't have to flatter the king. And there's a huge amount of freedom in being a little more self-sufficient and doing things a little bit differently than everybody else. And it's a lot of fun. Okay, so there we go. We got all the chunks. There we go. Okay, now we're going to take these pieces here and we're going to cut our strips. Now, this is a lot easier if you actually have these partially frozen. It makes us take a serrated knife and cut them. It's a lot easier. You don't want them too long. This is really nice looking, but it's a little too long if you're doing a stir fry. So we're going to start by taking this and cutting it in half. Okay. My stepfather taught me the easiest way to cut meat is with the grain, and he's right. I cut that against grain a small part because most of my cutting I'm going to want to do with the grain. So I'm going to kind of take my nails like this. I'm going to hold it down like this, hold this piece of meat down so it's not sliding all over. But my stepfather also taught me how to cut meat. Put your finger down on there and put just gentle pressure. I think he cut my meat for me till I was like 10 and my mother was just like, Jim, she's old enough to cut her own meat. So he had to show me how. Okay, so now I'm pushing this, I got my fingers on these two ends, and I'm pushing them apart as I'm cutting. Just kind of, you know, whatever works for you, but that's what works for me. And these things, you know, there's so many different ways of doing things. You know, as long as it's not sinful, there's a lot of different ways to do things. I'll show you what works for me. Remember when my son was little, I taught him how to put together puzzles. And I taught him the only way I thought that worked, which was putting together the outside first and then working your way in. It's the only way I can do it. Well, my son, he would just start putting it together. And it worked. It worked for him. And I was like, no, that's wrong. That's not how you do it. Turns out, you know, it wasn't wrong. It was just different. You know, we seem to have such a confusion on the difference between our personalities and our sin. And it's a big trend now to say, well, that's my personality, when it's actually their sin. And what we really need to do is separate our personality from our sin, because they are very different. And repent for our sin to God and enjoy our personality. I wonder if the scissors work better for this. Yeah, look at that. You know what? I think I'll just keep doing this. I just leave all three of them out here because different parts of the meat work differently for different things, you know. All right, there's those. This piece. Okay, so you see this piece is like proportionately a lot larger than this end, so you just cut it. Hold it tight. Just cut it so you don't have two pieces, one longer, one shorter. But you know, you want your thicknesses to be somewhat the same so that when you're stir frying, they actually gets cut and cooked thoroughly. And I'm thinking we're just going to go ahead and take the knife right through the middle here. I wish my butterfly steaks had gone that easy. All right, here we go. Okay, so now I got our strips, and if you think they're a little too wide, you can cut them. This is fine for me, but you can also give a little. Yeah, I'll just show you. Just give it a little snip. Yeah, just make it uniform, however you want. Okay. All right, I just want to show you kind of what this is going to look like. Here we've got our soup bone. We've got our strips, and we've got two sets of strips there. Over here we've got our fat chunks. is going to go in our beans. Strips are good for stir fry. Here we've got the chunks, and this is going to be good for, you know, stew. You can also put it in stir fry. There's a lot of things you can do with this casserole. And here's our steak. We got one steak. Over here is the meat we're going to be using to cut the 3 steaks later. I'll be cutting those off camera. And like I said, our soup bone. So this is what we're going to end up with. And we're going to have that could be 1 meal for 4 people. Stir fry. Over here we could have, you know, like a, green chili. That'd be great for green chili. You could have a casserole, but that'd be another meal. Meal 1, meal 2. Beans, that's meal 3. And steaks, that's meal 4. So this is an 8-pound roast, 4 meals. I was kind of hoping for 8, but you know, it depends on, you can do 8 if you want to have less meat. So this is what it's going to look like. And I hope you can try this yourself and save some money, some time later, definitely some money, and learn a new skill. It's important. I mean, the feminine arts have really been lost. So you know, let's just get out there and just make a difference. Hello, we're finishing up here. I got the pork chunks in here, and you see I flattened them out. Run it on there with my Sharpie, Mom's Sharpie, no touching. And my pork strips, my pork fat, and these just stack right up. You pull them out like that, you just pull those little things. And over here I've got my pork bone, my soup, and with the pork steaks, over here with the pork steaks, I took my wax paper, I love wax paper, and put it, you probably put double thickness, I just put 1. Just wrapped it, I took like 1 piece and I laid a piece on top of it and I folded it over, laid another piece. I got 4 of those in there. So I'm going to stick those in there, and this is a freezer bag, 1 gallon freezer bag. I'm going to tuck those little babies in. I don't want to push too hard because I want them to freeze flat. So I just want to tuck the wax paper in. Okay. Now this one I can't really do like I did with these, where I push them all up in one corner. I'm going to go all fancy. I got these at Dollar Tree. They got an extra long curve on them. Okay. Get the extra air out of that baby. Alright, throw it out to be safe. There we go. Now these are the freezer bags here. These ones aren't. These are just regular sandwich bags. Now I'm not going to be using them very quickly. I am going to be using them very quickly. These will be used probably within the week or 2 weeks. So they're not going to sit in my freezer a long time. But if you're worried about something like that, just take them and stick them in a freezer bag. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Just show you. Slide inside of the freezer bag. Put your pork bone in there. Oh, the pork bone was an odd shape. I didn't want to use too big of a bag. It was an odd shape and it was hard to close, but I didn't want to use a gallon bag. So I stuck it in one bag and then inverted it, put the other bag over the opening, and then put a third bag this way. So the first bag's open at the top, second bag's open at the bottom, third bag open at the top. So I'll stick it in here. But once you get 3 of them on there, you're good. Stick all those in there. I'm going to put that over to the side actually, because I need these to be flat so that they will fit in my freezer good. I have a side-by-side fridge. And this one you don't have to worry about getting the air out of it because they're already sealed up. So I'll just put that in there so it's a freezer bag right at work. And if most people like to put dates on things because you keep it for a long time, then you want to do that. Alright, so these are all ready to go. This is how I do my pork. I actually have another pork roast, which I'm not going to bore you with doing it again. Do that on my own. So, God bless and have a great week. Okay, we won't grab that one. Grab Okay. Sometimes I think I need an assistant. You gotta be kidding me. Alright, we'll grab the bag, pull up to the bottom. Okay, we'll get the cameraman to open a bag. Here. Open that one. I'm just throwing this one away. Thank you.